It's now my pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker, Everett Fitzhugh from Seattle Kraken. Everett is a native of Detroit and spent the last 5 seasons with the Cincinnati Cyclones hockey team before joining the Kraken last fall. As you may know, Everett is the first black play-by-play announcer in the National Hockey League history. He's definitely a trailblazer. I'll let you take it from here, Fitz.
Thank you very much, Justin, and thank you everyone so much for having me here. It's an honor to be able to speak with you and to share a little bit of my story here today. And as a kid growing up in Detroit, sports was and really still is a constant in my life. I could recite every team, every arena, every star player in each of the major sports leagues, and I knew any and everything about my favorite teams as well. Not only did I love to watch sports, but I loved to play sports as well. I played a Little League baseball and City League basketball all throughout my childhood, and I actually remember scoring my first basket in Little League basketball. I was about 8 years old, and my mom ran out onto the court and was so proud of me in the middle of the game. So they had to kind of usher her off the court while they got everything reset because she was so proud. Sports was and really continues to be a lot of fun for me as well. As a kid, baseball was my favorite sport, and I played until I was about 15 or 16, and I learned so much about sports and life in general from just being part of those teams. And I genuinely feel it was those experiences that I had as a kid growing up in youth sports that helped me lead to where I am today. Now, I realized pretty early that I probably wasn't going to be drafted by my hometown Detroit Tigers or the Seattle Mariners, so I had to come up with a plan B. And I always knew that I wanted to work in sports, but I really wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until I got to college at Bowling Green State University that I even found out play-by-play was an option. And I pretty much fell into broadcasting hockey by mistake. Everybody in my broadcasting organization, they wanted to call basketball or football games. They wanted to be the next Marv Albert or Bob Costas. And as a result, I found myself getting most of my opportunities in hockey. And I actually remember my first game and immediately falling in love with calling hockey games and the idea of working in hockey. And I instantly put all of my eggs in the hockey basket, as it were. And I set a goal of getting to the National Hockey League. 13 years later, here I am. I achieved my dream when I was hired by the Kraken as the first broadcaster in team history and the first black play-by-play announcer in the history of the National Hockey League. It was a little bit earlier than I had planned. I had an initial goal of NHL by 40, but being able to get here by 31, I'm not necessarily complaining about that at all. The journey to get here was definitely a long and a winding one, and there were many lessons that I routinely had to reflect back on from my time playing in youth sports as I moved along in my professional career. In all of my previous stops, be it Cincinnati, Youngstown, Chicago, I've had to wear multiple hats. In addition to broadcasting, I was in charge of public relations and partially responsible for marketing, social media, team services, sales. I was even the mascot on a couple of occasions. So it was a real all hands on deck mentality. And being a team player and helping out in those situations isn't a recommendation or a suggestion, it's a requirement. And there were times when I may not have agreed or gotten along with my peers. It still happens today, or my colleagues. But I knew that I had to work with them and set those differences aside in order to achieve the overall objectives of our organization. And it's just like in Little League baseball. There was a kid on my team named Malik. Him and I really didn't see eye to eye that often. But when we were on the baseball diamond, we were definitely in sync. And I think the biggest lesson that I've learned throughout my career in sport, both as a youth player and now working in administration, is the impact that sports can have on the community and how important it is for everyone to have adequate access. Even though I grew up in Detroit, which is also known as Hockey Town, you've got the Red Wings and college teams and so much youth hockey, I never played the game growing up. I didn't even learn how to skate until I was 22 years old in college, and I've played exactly one men's league game my entire life. There weren't many hockey programs or learn to skate initiatives to get people involved unless you went well into the suburbs. And it wasn't until I watched a Red Wings game when I was in the 3rd grade between the Oilers and the Wings, in which 3 players on the Oilers were black, that I realized that hockey is indeed a sport for me. I'd like to imagine if I had more access or better access to the game, I would have discovered that passion a little bit sooner. Not seeing many black faces on the ice is one of the reasons why I've continued to work hard at achieving this goal. I didn't have a lot of positive black influences in the game of hockey growing up, so for me, it's crucial to pay it forward, if you will, and be that example that I never had. I want to let little black kids or young women or really anybody from historically underrepresented communities know that there is a place for them in the game of hockey. And all throughout my career, I've met so many adults who credit their exposure to and participation in youth sports as one of the reasons why they are where they are today. That extends to the youth level as well. I remember back when I was in Youngstown, I met a boy, and Youngstown's a town dominated by football. High school football is king there. And this little kid came up to me and he said that he asked his mom to let him take hockey lessons because he heard me on the radio. And he said, "You just make it sound so fun." So he's a freshman in high school now, and I check in on him and his family from time to time. He still plays hockey, and he's expanded to playing other sports like baseball and soccer, and apparently he's even taken up golf right now. His mom also made sure to tell me that he's made a ton of friends and is an honor roll student as well. That is the impact sports can have on people. So I'm going to leave you with this. Whether you're at the highest level, like a Kyle Lewis or Russell Wilson, or the highlight of your athletic playing career was that City League baseball championship you won when you were 13, shout out Detroit Flyers, or winning 7 faceoffs in your lone men's league hockey game, I believe that everyone should play or minimally have the access to equipment, facilities, and the support to play sports. It means so much more than just trophies or accolades. It allows girls and boys of all ages, races, religions, from every socioeconomic background and more to be a part of something larger, to be a part of a team and make friends from each of those groups I just mentioned, to find that confidence they may have been searching for, to have a coach become a lifelong mentor or a friend, or most importantly, just to have fun, because at the end of the day, that's all sports are. They're fun. And I wanted to be part of Fun to Fun today to make sure that all kids get that opportunity to have fun and to learn and to be healthy. Supporting recreation scholarships for kids in the Puget Sound is crucially important. Again, thank you so much for having me here. This was a huge honor, and I look forward to participating in future events and helping youth sports here in the Puget Sound region.
Without these opportunities, we get kids who are afraid to fail at anything, and so they never even try. And so it's important that they're challenged by situations that bring value to their lives and are healthy and positive and make them feel good about themselves.
This camp serves everyone, no matter of their disability or their physical limitation.
I think it's just nice to respect the earth and realize what's on it and all around it.
ARC is the Associated Recreation Council. ARC is the partner that brings the equity piece to the table for Seattle Parks and Rec and make a lot of the programs that would otherwise be unaffordable more accessible to children and families who would otherwise not be able to afford it.
Get everybody in the circle. ARC really is that mechanism to bring educators, to bring the people there that can provide those programs.
When they say they're one-of-a-kind program, they really are. And we have searched throughout the entire Puget Sound area for programs for Paige in terms of availability, in terms of acceptance of Paige and her disabilities, in terms of cost. No one comes close.
So Magnuson Park is basically ground zero of the start of bringing affordable housing to Northeast Seattle. What we've had going on in Magnuson Park is about 300 formerly homeless families with children, primarily made up of people of color. The Rock the Park program is a summer camp that the children who live in Magnuson Park are able to participate in every year. Without organizations like ARC, these kids literally fall through the cracks. And self-esteem is a huge part of that. I think that it's really difficult for kids in my neighborhood to try new things, especially when they don't know anyone else. You know, for instance, sailing lessons. Most of these kids don't know a single other person in their life that has ever sailed. And so they really kind of start out with the attitude of, I can't do that, or it's scary, or, you know, they're fearful. And so it's really interesting to see that after they participate, how confident they are and how that kind of emboldens them to try other things that they think that they might like.
All right. Let's put it in water.
We can engage them in things where they are just exploring and using their hands and their minds and their creativity and really affording them the time to kind of just get dirty and wet.
You know, to watch them get good at something and to build a skill that they wouldn't normally have is something that it just gives me life.
So 1 in 5 people have a disability, which is about 20%. And that means that we truly need to make our world more accessible because we just can't leave out 20% of our population. Oh, beautiful! At Seattle Parks, we take that 1 in 5 and we make them the majority. We make them matter, we make their voice heard, and we give them a great time.
Welcome to Camp Long. I have been coming to this camp for over 10 years. I absolutely love this camp, and I love the volunteers and the staff that run it.
The social aspect of it is just so critical to Paige and to people like her, that they have a sense of friends and community. We're sending our daughter to overnight camp. I mean, we were just like blown away. It was one of those things we just never thought it was going to be possible.
Pretty nice. I've seen Paige become way more outgoing, way more confident in her ability to move through the world, and just more like excited to be around people.
If ARC didn't exist, Paige's opportunities for recreation with other people of her abilities and disabilities would not exist. It would be a less enjoyable life for her without the ARC support of this program.
We need to feel that connection. And when you can put a person in the park and give them an experience, I think that just does wonders for everyone.
It's really fantastic that the community and the region is able to benefit from the partnership that ARC has with the Seattle Parks and Recreation. I hope that that partnership is able to grow, much in the same way that the population that they serve together continues to grow. Because you can't have one without the other to be able to provide the quality programming that's essential to the children all over our region.
We all matter, and we all deserve to have a place to be our best selves.